Don't you hate wrestling with predictability? The garbage man, the sexy boy, boring ass TV? How did I get to work in here? Somebody tell me, please. The WWF is confusing to me. With Vince as mean as you've ever seen. I told old Patterson I'm done here in June. When a sudden voice inside me whispered, Vinny, don't sell your dream so soon. And everywhere I look, there's a Ted with a hand to hold on to. And everywhere I look, there's a place and a promotion who needs you. And it's there you'll book when you're lost out there and you're all alone. And WCW's waiting to carry you home. It's there you'll book. And it's there I'll book. A doobity-ba-ba-ba, headed to Atlanta and listen to this podcast. It's all right, even though it fucking makes fun of everything I've ever done. Backbone Wrestling Network. Welcome back to episode 46 of Are You Smarter Than Vince Russo's WCW? I'm Scott Shiflett. Joining me as always, the backbone of the backbone. This man just hit 100 episodes on the cross up. Logan Crossland. Logan, how are you doing today, buddy?
Yeah, just hit 100 episodes. 2 episodes from now, we will be at the 2-year anniversary of the backbone as well. So I was the very first pod, and I think I'm going to be the last pod before the anniversary date. So it'll drop on the 18th, and our anniversary date is the 19th. So there we go. Yeah.
and let's be real, Logan, if we ever end the Backbone Wrestling Network, you'll probably be the last podcast too. It's only fitting, even if it's just you saying "brah." So
brah. Yeah, that's probably true. I did threaten to quit at some point because I was insulted by something that you Vegas degenerates said about me.
I can't remember it. I just remember that I was feeding in on it, and then me and Matt Souza were concerned because we might have to then become the backbones of the backbone, and we were not wanting that.
I may have been comped to somebody that I might not have wanted to been comped to. I'll just say that. But thus I was just kidding, and I'm still here to be the backbone of the backbone. So we will power on. But Sean did threaten to cut the payments for the backbone if I did so. So we're still here, and we're gonna keep on rocking.
Yeah, we're gonna keep on rocking, and we're gonna rock and roll to probably the longest build to a pay-per-view I've ever felt, Logan, because Slamboree was at the start of the month. We still have 13 days until Great American Bash, which means 4 more episodes, including tonight. And let's see how many world title changes we can fit in here, Logan. So let's kick off the show. It's like I said, it's the May 29th, 2000. That's right, we're still in May version of Nitro. We see highlights of what happened on Thunder with Nash winning the title. A limo pulls up and out pops Ric Flair. He tells his wife and son to stay in the limo. He handles it. Reed screams at his mom that dad will know what to do, which
maybe mom should slap Reed. Her name is Beth. Then when Rick walks off, R&B security then rush the limo and they kidnap Reed and Beth Flair. That's going to be an ongoing story tonight. Tony tells us we are 13.
Before you go on, Rick did not get far enough away from the limo.
Oh, hell no.
See all of that.
It was like 5 steps.
There's not just like 2 of them. It's like all of R&B security and Russo. So that's already plot hole number 1, but I'll let you continue. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, I guess you could say that Ric Flair was out of sight, out of mind. He probably saw someone with big tits and was like, "Oh, I gotta go. I gotta go knock her up." Huh? You know, I don't have a Ric Flair accent. As we've discussed on this podcast and many other podcasts, I can't do accents unless I'm high on Mucinex and I turn
even then it's still like just a lot of grumbling and stuff.
Yeah, so I'm not good at it. Okay, I can do the Jadakiss laugh, the rapper Jadakiss, but that's about the only thing I can do. But anyway, back to 2000. Tony tells us we are 13 days away, just like I said, from the Great American Bash. We are in Salt Lake City, Utah. We see an asylum cage above the ring. Wolfpack music hits, and out comes the champ, Kevin Nash. He's wearing a FUNB t-shirt. Which is one thing I noticed, Logan. A bunch of wrestlers are wearing their own merch, like it's WWF at the time, as we'll see a couple more other t-shirts tonight, which I'm sure sold negative shirts. So, which I wish they were selling now because I would buy them. I still owe you like 3 t-shirts, but
that you do.
Kevin Nash, I do. The 3 count one, Buzz Stern one, and I think that's it. But they'll come to you one day. Nash gets on the mic, but before he can, Scott Steiner's music hits, and he comes out with the Freaks. When Scott's in the ring, Nash gets on the mic and says, "First off, I want to give thanks to Big Papa Pump for helping me out on Thunder." Nash said 8 weeks ago, Bischoff and Russo said they would systematically eliminate the millionaires, and if you look at it, Luger's face is destroyed. DDP's personal and professional life is controlled by Eric Bischoff. Hulk has a retirement match at Great American Bash. You have Vampiro wanting to set Sting on fire in 13 days, and then you have Kevin Nash. Nash says the plans didn't work out for him, and they didn't think Big Papa Pump was an ally. He says him and Scott want to get their hands around Russo's neck. Nash says Scott Hall is getting healthier, and he wants a piece of Russo as well. Nash says the reasons why the millionaires are legends is because they've seen it all, done it all, and dealt with it all before. Says he wants to see how hard it is to kill a legend. Let me show you. And Ric Flair's music hits. Ric Flair makes his way down the ring and shakes everyone's hand, which is weird because Steiner was shitting on Flair 2 months ago, even at that 417. 8 weeks ago, that 417 Nitro that we watched Logan. Oh, sorry, 410 Nitro that we watched Logan. He was shitting on Flair. Flair gets on the mic and says, "Russo, this has got to be giving you have you thinking about overtime now." He says the 3 of us in the ring at the same time is a problem for the world. Flair says that his medical problems that he had are unknown for why he went down. He calls out David and says, "Your dad is in the ring." He says he has no one behind him. Rick says that David Flair's career will come to a quiet end at the Great American Bash. Flair says when he dies, bury him quick, which doesn't make sense to me. He was rambling here. And then Flair says, "Russo, tonight he will find you and drag your ass out here and stomp it silly." Nash stops him and says he has a present for him, and he gives the world title to Flair. My personal note here is for fuck's sakes, and he says that Flair never lost it. So Nash just learning from his best friend Shawn Michaels on how to lose world titles. If you think
without losing world titles,
without losing world titles, he had the finger poke of doom, Logan, and now he has lists. So that's how he's lost his world titles. There might be another one in there. I think he lost to Hogan. I think no, I don't know how he lost. No, he lost to Macho Man at that Bash of the Beach 99, and then Macho Man lost it the next night to Hogan. It's disgusting that I know that. But Jeff Jarrett's music hits and says, "Wait a damn minute." Ask if he's on the wrong set. He asks if it's The View because he sees a bunch of self-serving women. I wish he would have said self-serving bitches here, Logan. Thought it would have been better. But he says they are pathetic, and it says you 3 versus the world, and he doesn't like his odds, and he doesn't like your odds one bit. Jeff Lynn makes a match for Nash tonight, says it'll be Nash versus Rick Steiner and Tank Abbott, that if Big Papa Pump comes within 5 feet of the ring, that him and Nash will be cleaning toilets. Scott starts screaming, says, Jeff Jarrett, talking about your problems are overrated. Scott says that Jeff Jarrett and Russo can come down and bend over and kiss his ass. Jeff says, screw you, slap ass Steiner, and says he has all the stroke around here. Jeff says, Nature Boy will be me and you in the ring. Jeff says he will bring back the world title around his waist and said, choke on that, you Jurassic slap ass. Rick starts screaming and says, Big Papa Pump said to kiss your ass and said he's off tonight. This, of course, brings out Vince Russo. He says, I warned you, Rick, and you stepped foot in my house tonight. You wish you had a brain aneurysm. He says, Rick, I'll always be one step ahead of you. Ain't that right, David? David comes out holding both Reed and Beth. Rick rushes everyone because R&B security was behind them. Russo and David and Jeff and Reed and Beth all take off, but Rick, Flair, Nash, and Scott all beat down R&B security. And then all three go backstage looking for the new blood. And then we go to the back and we see a gas truck pulling up to the arena and Vampiro is driving. Logan, a lot happening in that opening segment. We had another world title change. We, kind of seeing the Millionaires Club regrouping a little bit. It's kind of weird seeing Flair, Nash, and Steiner being together, hugging each other after what we've seen if you watched WCW for a long time. But pretty hot. Interested to see where we go tonight, if we're going to get another world title change or in what's going to happen with Nash versus Abbott and Rick Steiner.
Yeah, a pretty long segment. Obviously got a few different characters mixed in there. Yeah, it's weird to see Steiner with the kind of Millionaires Club guys because, like you said, this is like kind of retooling it and getting it back together as they head into Great American Bash and have some matches with obviously the higher group of new blood talent and stuff like that. But yeah, a world title change where not really anything happened. He just kind of handed in the belt. Nash also had the he ended up losing it in a match, but he also had the world title where he gave it to himself because he was the commissioner. And then Sid beats him for it. I'm pretty sure
that is correct, Logan.
Earlier this year or later last year. So that happened. But yeah, I mean, a long segment kind of got, like I said, got some a good variety of characters out there. May have gone a tad too long. Like you said, I think Flair at certain points was kind of rambling a little bit, kind of lost the thread. But yeah, we'll see if we get another new world champion tonight. I warned you of this day coming previously, so we're here.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a good thing, Logan, but I had to take a drink of water.
It certainly is.
Yeah, so much stuff happened. I had to take a drink of water while Logan was talking there, guys, because I was already parched. And we're just 15 minutes into the show. So we take a commercial break. When we come back, Russo's yelling at Beth. And we see that Flair is looking for Beth and Reed Flair, which, as we've talked about on earlier episodes of this pod, how big of a labyrinth do they think the backstage area is for these? Because Ric Flair's looking the whole night, guys. Spoiler alert. So then after that, we go to the announce desk, and Tony says that Ric Flair has accepted the challenge from Jeff Jarrett. Also, Tony talks about the handicap match with Kevin Nash. The Filthy Animals music hits, and they come out. Disco's wearing a Scottie Pippen Blazers jersey. I believe the Blazers maybe had just eliminated the Utah Jazz, so he gets super heat with that. Tony also announces it'll be Scott versus Shane Douglas in an Asylum match tonight. Sting versus Billy Kidman. Disco gets on the mic and messes up all the catchphrases. Disco says it's going to be real swell here, and Ray says no, be good, which made me laugh. He then challenges says we'll have a we'll have a lumberjack match, and challenges the biggest, baddest member of MIA, which I thought was going to be Stash, but no, it's the
smallest one.
We'll get to that in a minute. Yes, the smallest one. But Disco says, come on out and get an old-fashioned tushy kicking. And then Conan calls out G.I. Bro. MIA music hits, and Lieutenant Loco charges the ring and jumps over the rope and shoulder blocks Disco. So we lead to match one, which is a lumberjack match, Disco versus Lieutenant Loco. After the shoulder block, Chavo sends Disco into the ropes, and he hits him in the gut and hits a suplex. Disco bails out of the ring and talks to Filthy Animals. This allows Lieutenant Loco to dive on all the Filthy Animals. MIA then come over and they throw Disco back in the ring. Lieutenant Loco gets back in the ring and charges Disco, but Disco drops Loco throat first on the ropes. and then he puts Loco in a Cobra clutch and then hits a side Russian leg sweep, which was pretty interesting. Disco throws Loco out of the ring. The Filthy Animals beat him down and throw him back in the ring. Disco slams Loco and goes from the middle rope, but misses an axe handle. Loco hits a Thez press and then drop kicks Disco out of the ring, but he's on the entrance ramp. The MIA beats down Disco on the entrance ramp. While that's happening, Ray gets in the ring and he beats down Loco in the ring, but he goes for a Bronco Buster, but Major Guns gets in the ring and distracts him. He unbuttons his pants like he's about to get a blowjob in the middle of the ring, like he's the Ultimate Warrior with Sherry at, I want to say, Royal Rumble 90, Logan. But stops because Major Gun is going to rips off her top. She rips off her top, so he just has a bra on. Then she kicks Ray in the nuts. Disco's back in the ring, and Loco hits a tornado DDT, and it's over. After the match, Tigress comes down and checks on Ray and then attacks Major Guns. Madden says Tigress is Ray's girlfriend, which this is why he's a shitty dad. He's cheating on his mom on TV for his young son, Dominic Mysterio. That's why Ray's a shitty dad, Logan. After this, he's a deadbeat. The refs break up everything. So, continuing our little feud that we like of MIA versus the Filthy Animals, and looks like we have a woman to counteract Major Guns, and looks like they pulled Tigress off of the Nitro Girls, which have basically been dead. We haven't seen them on TV since they were feuding, Logan. So, good use of Tigress here. We'll see where it goes. Like I said, I'm enjoying this feud. It's doing something with these two groups. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought Chavo looked really good, or Lieutenant Loco, whatever we want to call him. But I thought he looked really good here. The charge to start the match where he comes in on the ramp and just dives straight in, I thought was an awesome spot. He does like a crossbody out onto all of the Filthy Animals at one point. He does a pretty good drop kick at some point. Like you said, Ray tries to get a beach from Major Guns, obviously. And then the tornado DDT that Loco ends up winning with was pretty awesome. So, yeah, good to if you're gonna have these people feud, it's good to have a girl on the Filthy Animal side to kind of even things out. Because obviously they've each got a bunch of guys, but obviously the MIA had only had Major Guns so far, so it's good to have somebody for her to kind of fight as well. So. But yeah, a feud I continue to enjoy, and obviously, hopefully, it stays that way.
Yeah, hopefully it continues. I'm shocked they haven't announced a match for Great American Bash, which would make sense for them not to have a match the way this company is. One of the feuds that we do like will probably be, stuck. They'll just run into the ground like they did in Revolution and Filthy Animals, Logan. So we go to the back, and Vampiro's with Pamela. She asks about the gasoline truck. Vampiro says only sinners will burn in hell. And he says tonight there will be a fire and it'll be on Sting's head. Okay. And then when that happens in the interview area, we see Kronik is beating down Horace. And then Chuck Palumbo and Sean Stasiak then run in and they beat down Kronik and save Horace. And then we see Miss Hancock walking backstage. A lot of shit was happening there, Logan. A lot of shit.
Miss Hancock all the way laugh.
1,000%. 1,000%. So we have commercial break, and then on my one, I was getting like little bumpers for videos for the Great American Bash. Did you have that?
Yeah,
on the one that you watched.
Yeah.
Okay,
mm-hmm.
So we had a Hogan and Kidman video for the Great American Bash. Miss Hancock comes out, and Logan said she was live. Of course, I'm going to take it to the other degree. I said my note here says she's looking like a fucking snack.
There you go.
She gets on the mic and says, "You probably think I'm a stick in the mud, but I know how to let my hair down and have a good time." Says, "Hit my music," and she starts dancing and stripping. Tony is all horned up like me and Logan are right now. Then music hits that I did not know, and it was Chris Candido's. And then we flash to the backstage, and we see David telling Russo he has to go. Russo asks what Reed is talking about, and Reed says, "None of your damn business." And Russo says, "Don't curse in my house, son," and says to keep your mouth shut. Which, as much as I hate Russo, Logan, like he has some great one-liners in this feud. So we go back to the ring, and Candido says there are 10 to 15 women like you who doesn't know anything about this business. Candido tells Miss Hancock not to stick her neck in my spotlight and is about to punch her. And then David Flair attacks Chris Candido. Then Ric Flair comes down and attacks David Flair. R&B security comes down, and Flair takes them all down. While that's happening, David takes Miss Hancock, and they walk away. Rick is chasing after David and Miss Hancock. So got something weird happening with David and Miss Hancock here that's not really making sense because he's engaged to Daphne. This Candido thing, I wonder if Tammy's already gone, Logan, because she's not long for this world with WCW, so we'll have to see if she shows up anymore. But very interesting segment.
Yeah, it seemed like he was like it seemed like Candido was coming out to like say, oh, that's my girlfriend's gimmick, you know, like she's the one that does strip teases and is hot and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of thought that's why he was coming out at first, but obviously he kind of went another direction. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if Tammy had already kind of, you know, blew up her spot and gotten in trouble for, you know, partying too much or, you know, showing up to the building not, you know, in a good condition to work or something like that already. But yeah, weird to see David kind of somewhat be babyface and saving because Miss Hancock hasn't really, you know, she's not really
done anything except for dance.
Yeah. So she hadn't really been assigned like a heel or face role or anything like that. I mean, she obviously seems like she's in a suit and she's like all business, so it seems like she would probably maybe be a heel, but obviously she does the striptease here, so you would think that would be a very babyface thing to do. So, yeah, very, very, very weird. Definitely strange and kind of a weird mix of kind of people to put in here for this, but maybe a different direction for Candido since maybe possibly Tammy's already in trouble.
Yeah. So we see a car pull up, and I originally thought it was DDP, and it's reporters asking questions, but it's actually Kimberly, and she says she's no longer Kimberly Page, but just Kimberly. All these people are just asking her like generic questions, like "What are you wearing?" and she's acting like a diva. And then, so Tony says on Friday she was throwing all the DDP shit out, and then we see her like having her assistant throw all the DDP shit out in the yard. Eric calls her and asks her what she's wearing, and Kimberly is she's like, oh, just a top and like sweatpants. And Kimberly is telling her assistant what stuff to take down. Kimberly asked Eric once again for a stylist. She asked for it last week and was going to have Liz be her stylist. And so that's how the segment ends. And then we see Donny Osmond and Father of the Year Karl Malone in the crowd. Scott Hudson asked if Donny and Karl are together, and they were like just shitting on him. And then Mark Souza says they both live in Salt Lake City, if you call that living, which fucking destroyed me because he's true. But I can't believe Kimberly's still here, Logan. She should not talk.
Yeah, this is a gimmick that is way past its expiration date. She's literally only here because obviously Bischoff and DDP are good buddies. And I'll say this, having listened to Bischoff's pod throughout the years, he was never really a big fan of Kimberly, apparently.
He wasn't. Sure.
Like, yeah, well, that's what he says. But he was always really good friends with DDP, obviously, but he kind of put up with her because they were good buddies. But yeah, she pretty much only has a job because her and DDP are still together, and you know, I don't know how long they last in the world, but they're not long. They're not super long for this world, so hopefully her run doesn't last too much longer.
Yeah, it's bad. But speaking of bad, G.I. Bro music hits and he comes out. G.I. Bro gets the mic and said, "People have been asking why G.I. Bro, why'd you change your name?" He said when he first got in the business, so that's who I am now. Says Sean Stasiak took a beating last week and wanted more. He challenges Sean to a boot camp match at the pay-per-view. So we have that at the pay-per-view. And then G.I. Bro calls out Mike Awesome. He calls out Awesome Mike Awesome, Logan, which is what I might call him from now on. He says Awesome Mike Awesome, which is just, I don't know, made me laugh. And we see how Awesome hurt G.I. Bro in April. That's why they didn't have the Slammer rematch. And he says Awesome didn't get the job done and told him to wheel his ass out. Awesome comes out with an ambulance, and then he brings out the halo and he sets up a table in front of the ambulance. Tony's wondering about David and Miss Hancock, and this leads us to match 2, which is G.I. Bro versus Mike Awesome in an ambulance match. G.I. Bro attacks Awesome on the entrance ramp. And then when Awesome was against the ropes, Bro rushed Awesome and was backdropped into the ring. Awesome hits a shoulder block on Bro from outside the ring to inside the ring. Then he power bombs G.I. Bro, and Awesome goes up top for a clothesline. But G.I. Bro actually hits a drop kick, which was pretty nice. And then they were running the ropes with each other, and a real sloppy sequence when G.I. Bro went to hip toss, but he didn't get over all the way. I don't really know who messed up on that. I'm not a wrestler, but it was rough looking. But after that, G.I. Bro ducks a clothesline and then hits one of his own. G.I. Bro hits an axe kick and throws Awesome on the ramp. They battle up the ramp, and then Awesome hits G.I. Bro with a halo, and he goes to powerbomb G.I. Bro, but DDP comes out and hits Mike Awesome with a chair. G.I. Bro and DDP then chokeslam Awesome off the entrance ramp through the table, and then they throw him in the ambulance. So G.I. Bro wins, and Awesome once again loses his specialty match, Logan. It's like a fucking reoccurring joke.
Yeah, I guess at least this time he got, it was kind of cheating, but yeah, it's kind of stupid. Well, I mean, it's like the wall. The wall never wins the tables matches, so apparently the gimmick is to give people their specialty matches and just have them constantly lose. So, but yeah, that they have that botch that you were talking about. I really don't feel like they were on the same page for like a good bit after that. I think it was kind of rough from that point on. Not that it was great or anything like that before that. I think they just, like I said, it didn't seem like they were on the same page. I think this could be a match that could be good and could be something that happens on that could happen on a future pay-per-view that I think could be pretty good, but we'll see if that ends up happening. But I like that they started battling on the ramp, kind of like one of the previous matches. But yeah, it was kind of botchy, and they're pretty much right after the start, and I felt like they kept messing up and stuff like that. So, but then like obviously, like you said, DDP comes out, helps Booker or G.I. Bro win in this situation. I did like the double choke slam off the stage. I thought that was a pretty cool spot. So, but yeah, gimmick matches, you give them to guys and they lose them.
It makes no sense, Logan. And then we go backstage and we see Sean and Chuck are watching the show. They have Liz kidnapped, and someone knocks, and Chuck sees that there's a note underneath of it, and it says Kronik 419. Then they bust through the door. That's what it really says, guys. It's dumb. But you'll see later. It's dumb. But someone knocks on the door and Chuck opens it, and it's Kronik. They beat down Chuck and Sean. And then Liz hits Chuck with the baseball bat and then takes off. And then we see Eric walking backstage with Tori, Kimberly, Horace, Kidman, and the cat. And then we see Hogan pull up and he says he's pissed. Then the fucking Goldberg monster truck shows up. And then another little sports car shows up, and it's fucking Goldberg randomly showing up, guys. No mention of it at all. Just on a fucking random Nitro, he shows up. Okay.
Certainly wasn't
Goldberg's
expecting
here.
that one. Yeah.
Me either. I hope this is the end of the fucking Goldberg monster truck, Logan. I can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
But it looks in amazing shape.
And,
Logan,
and like,
looks great.
I don't mind that he showed up, but like, A, you're in fucking Salt Lake City. Like, who cares? B, next week we'll hear later. Spoiler alert: they're in Atlanta next week. Just have him come back then. And B, you have a pay-per-view in like however many days, 13 days or whatever. If you don't have him come back in Atlanta, just have him come back there. Like, why re-debut him bring him back like 2 weeks before the pay-per-view? It doesn't make any sense. And if you're gonna bring him back before the pay-per-view, bring him back in his own fucking hometown.
Yeah, or hype him up, because all you care
yeah,
about is
or
ratings. Hype it up.
Yeah.
Not have him show up, then he fucking commercial break. So anyway, commercial break, and then we come back. Rick is still looking for Reed and Beth. And then we see Miss Hancock and David walking backstage. I don't know if you noticed this, Logan. She's buttoning up her shirt. So I was like, did they just fuck? That was a serious question. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah. And then we see how Goldberg was on the cover of SI for Kids with Scott Steiner. Did you have a subscription to SI for Kids? Because I did for a year. It was great.
I don't think I did. No.
I think I got it as like a birthday gift.
The only magazine subscription I ever had was WWE Magazine, and I got it for a birthday one year.
Nice. Also got WCW Magazine for Christmas one year, and then it went out of business, and it went to WWF Magazine.
Yeah, you're also older than I am, so that might.
Fuck you! I'm 4 years older than you, Logan.
Yeah, but that's a world of difference in the late '90s and early aughts.
You have older brothers. I didn't know if they got SI for Kids.
Nah. I mean, they're older enough than me. Then like that would have been like a whole other thing. So I don't know.
I don't appreciate this, Logan.
I didn't mean anything by it, buddy. I'm sorry.
I know. I don't appreciate it though. Just let it be known.
Well, here's what I'll do for you. I'll go fuck myself. How about that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're like, oh, you're older than me.
I mean, you are. Literally.
By 3.5, 4 years, Logan. We're not talking like me and Sean levels here.
You're an ancient fucker, is what I'm trying to say.
I feel ancient today after the gym, but that's a whole nother thing. Anyway, back to the action. So Bischoff's music hits. Out comes Eric and his crew. And Tony is strongly hinting that Goldberg will get involved in the Tank Abbott match. Like, he's like basically saying, please don't turn the fucking channel. Goldberg will show up in the Tank Abbott match. But anyway, Eric gets on the mic and says, I missed you people. And he says, I've loved all of you. Well, almost all of you. Cat's being his hype man and repeating everything that he says. Like he's saying, love all of you, all of you. And then Eric says, 13 days away from Great American Bash. And Ernest says, 13 days. And then Eric finally says, Ernest, will you stop?
Will you please shut up?
Yeah, it was great. It made me laugh. Eric says Hogan doesn't have the guts to wear the red and yellow anymore because Eric would tear it off himself. Eric says, Hollywood, you have painted yourself into the corner. He says that, and he announces, I forgot that he was hyping this up, Logan, for the past couple of episodes, that the special guest referee is Horace, and that Horace has earned the right. Hulk Hogan comes out, and music hits, and he comes out. He's wearing like what he's been wearing. Like I call it as like basically a Stone Cold Hulk Hogan FUNB Terry Bollea stuff, like denim and everything. And
Black
Hulk says red and yellow will never. Yeah, black denim. He says that red and yellow will never die, and it'll take more than a piece of shit like you to get rid of it. Hogan says at Great American Bash, he will kick Kidman's and Horace's ass. And then he says, after the July pay-per-view, he will be the WCW heavyweight champion, which it makes me laugh that he can never remember Bash at the Beach. He always just calls it the July pay-per-view, Logan. This is like the third or fourth time where he said, like, at the July pay-per-view. It's like, dude, Bash at the Beach is like one of the biggest pay-per-views that you like. That's like synonymous with you. It's when you debuted. It's when you had like NWO form, Rodman versus Karl Malone. Like, what are you doing, man? So,
yeah, Zane, if you listen to Bischoff, that was like the second biggest pay-per-view outside of Halloween Havoc or whatever.
Yeah, it shows how Bischoff's a fucking moron. But
yeah.
Anyway, Eric says it'll never happen. Hogan says he's sick of his mouth. And then we cut to see Goldberg walking into the arena, and then we have a commercial break. And we missed Kidman being cucked, Logan, but we come back commercial break, and we saw how Hogan beat down everyone.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
That's even more jobberific that like he still gets his ass beat, but it was in the commercial break.
Yeah, it's like because like we saw Hogan start walking down, but then it cut to Goldberg walking to the arena because they were like, "Hey, we need people to watch." Like I said, so we had the commercial break, and we see Hogan beating down everyone. The Wolfpack music hits, and Kevin Nash comes out. But Rick and Tank then attack him on the entrance ramp. Rick gets a little overzealous, Logan, and he falls off the entrance ramp. But then he gets back up and he hits Nash in the head with the wrench. Nash is out, but they drag him to the ring and the match starts. This leads us to match 3, Kevin Nash versus Tank Abbott and Rick Steiner. They roll Nash to the ring and they both punch and kick Nash. He is out. Like they're doing this so long that you can tell they're just killing time. Finally, Goldberg's music hits. The crowd goes crazy. Goldberg comes out and he spears Rick Steiner, who takes an amazing spear. He then jackhammers Rick. Tank just leaves the ring and the ref calls for DQ, which I thought DQs weren't being called anymore, Logan. So dumb. Goldberg picks up Nash and hugs him. Goldberg gets on the mic and says he's been sitting at home listening to Tank running his mouth week after week, and he says that he's back. Goldberg says tonight will be when the slaughter begins and escape is no option. He challenges Tank to a match next Monday in Atlanta and says his ass is next. He rips off his shirt, and we see that he is fucking shredded. Looks in amazing shape. We see a replay of the spear to Rick Steiner. We get a commercial break. Then we see another replay of the spear and jackhammer. And then we see Pamela trying to interview Goldberg, but he just walks out and he gets in a small-ass car, which looks hilarious because he's a big man getting in this tiny little car, and he leaves. So the man getting paid millions to just show up and leave. Like, he's like Brock Lesnar. But what'd you think of all this? This was basically just for Goldberg to return, Logan. And I guess they are hyping up a match next week, his return match for Atlanta versus Tank Abbott. But, you know, Tank's been people's bitch recently. So good job, guys.
Yeah, you would think that would be a pay-per-view match to it, which again, like, have him return on the Atlanta Nitro, do all the shit he does here, and then say, hey, Tank, me and you're next at Great American Bash or whatever. I don't know that I don't remember if Goldberg and Nash were like buddy when he was here previously, but like, I don't like the idea of them being friends. Like, Goldberg.
Starcade 98.
Yeah. I was going to say
Starcade 99.
Yeah.
With the NWO.
Yeah. Obviously they have been nothing but rivals to this point. So the fact that he just like comes in and daps Nash up is like, I don't know if I love that, but faces are faces and all faces are friends apparently. So, but yeah, this wasn't much. Obviously, Rick has the wrench to start things out, and that's kind of how the only way they get any offense. But yeah, obviously Goldberg comes out and wrecks poor Rick Steiner pretty quickly. And yeah, we'll see what the thing with Tank ends up being next week. I have a feeling it'll be schmozzy as hell, or like you said, Goldberg will just run straight through him. So we'll see. But yeah, very tiny car Goldberg got in and out of. I imagine he was very wedged into that motherfucker.
Yeah, like, I don't understand why they had him in the small ass car. It's like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing? It just hurts me.
It hurts everyone. Don't
Logan,
feel bad.
It just hurts me. So we see Eric ranting and raving about Goldberg being here. Says who approved him? Like, who approved him to be here? There's no reason to be here, and he tears up the backstage. And then Tony talks about Tank smiling about the threat that Goldberg gave him, and then he talks about the match next week. Terry Funk's music hits, and out comes Terry Funk. They show clips of how Terry Funk got the title back when he was dressed up as Ralphus, being dressed up as the mascot, Owen Thunder. And he gets on the mic and says Eric Bischoff has a big surprise for him. Funk says the surprise is Eric won't tell him who he's wrestling. Funk says he has a surprise for Bischoff, and he's coming backstage right now, and he's going to put his foot up his butt. Vampiro's music hits now, and he comes out. Funk kicks Vampiro in the nuts and then pile drives him on the entrance ramp, on the rampway. So it starts match 4, Vampiro versus Terry Funk in the hardcore match. Funk then calls for the ref and to make the count, but he gets one as the ref was out of position. Vampiro hits Funk in the nuts and then slams Funk with nail in the coffin. Vampiro then gives the ref the nail in the coffin. He's screaming at the pyro guys to hit his pyro, and he tries to burn Funk with the pyro, but it doesn't happen. Vampiro beats Funk around the Turnotron, then they battle backstage. Vampiro slams Funk through a table, and he hits a PA, and then is attacking random people backstage, just being out of control. Funk gets up and hits Vampiro with the trash can, and he hits him multiple times. Funk hits Vampiro with the pipe as they're walk brawling. Vampiro slams Funk through a table, and then they battle outside somehow. Vampiro hits Funk with a trash can, and Funk just starts throwing random shit at Vampiro. They battle near the campers where they have like the production trucks, and they're up on the steps of these campers. But Funk knocks Vampiro off the steps, and he goes through a table. Funk picks him up, but then Vampiro is able to get in control, and he throws him in front of the gas tanker truck, the grill of the truck. Vampiro then throws Funk into the tanker, and then he pulls out and he starts spraying gas on him. Sting attacks Vampiro and they start fighting. The hose you can see hose just fucking shooting off, which is supposed to be gas. Hopefully it's water. But then Vampiro gets the upper hand and he grabs the blowtorch. But security stops him because he probably would have killed about 25 people if this would have happened. They grab the torch from Vampiro and they make him leave. Vampiro says, "I'll see you later." As we see Sting helping up Funk. So this was just at least Funk didn't get his ass whooped the whole time and win by hook or by crook, Logan. This was a kind of a 50-50 match, and it set up more that Vampiro wants to light a motherfucker on fire.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously think that was either water or some other kind of clear liquid, because if that was gas and it was like the hose was just like flopping and flipping around and just spraying everywhere, that would be not good. Not good whatsoever. But yeah, I mean, this one was pretty back and forth for a Funk match. He still does get his ass kicked pretty good in this one, but he does get some offense in. He does control parts of it. Vamp could have easily been hardcore champion in this match. He hits the nail in the coffin on the ramp, but then he decides to hit it on the ref as well for some stupid reason. So he really, honestly, could have won the title, but he decides not to. And yeah, Vamp just taking out innocent bystanders backstage was a hell of a thing. So, but yeah, the hose dousing Funk in the gas and it flopping around everywhere was a hell of a thing. But yeah, one of our better, more entertaining hardcore matches, I would say.
Yeah. I didn't hate it, which is shocking despite the attempted homicide. And then we see Flair still looking for Reed and Beth. This is getting absurd. And
this place is not that big. I'm just saying.
Right?
I don't know what it looks like, but it's not that big. No way.
Yeah, we know it's not that big. We see Reed talking trash to Russo and David manhandles him, which was pretty funny. Then Shane shows up and Russo tells him that Shane has an asylum match, which was Shane not watching the show. Shane says, "This is BS. You guys put me in control of Thunder, and this is how you repay me." But Russo does a Jedi mind trick on him, says, "This is for the U.S. title, and it's a reward." So that shuts up Shane. And then we have a commercial break. They do a video on the asylum match, and how you win is by making the other person say, "I quit." And they announce that it'll be Tank versus Scott at the Great American Bash and asylum match. Not even fucking Goldberg, man. Not even fucking Goldberg.
I mean, they have been feuding with Steiner too, but yeah, that's just.
It's been with Goldberg longer. He's calling him out for months, and we're blowing it off here next week. Okay,
we're blowing it off on Nitro instead of pay-per-view. I mean, that just supports the. I mean, I know I keep mentioning it, but that supports kind of the Bischoff way of thinking. Is like, you know, you blow off your big stuff on the television show that actually airs every week for free instead of on pay-per-view, which is a terrible way to think. But you know, nobody accused him of being a smart guy.
These guys are morons. We see a car pull up to a house, and it's and it's DDP, and we see it's from Friday, and we see all the shit is outside, and we see that, and it's pretty cool. DDP is wearing a Soprano shirt, so I know DDP gets some shit for being kind of corny, but it's pretty cutting edge on pop culture right there with him rocking a Soprano shirt in 1999 or 2000. My apologies. DDP's like bitching because all stuff was outside. He tries to get in the house, but the locks were changed. Kimberly opens up the door, and DDP tells her to get the hell out of here. And he walks in, but two cops show up as they were waiting in the living room, and they tell him to leave and walk away. DDP says, "This is my house." And we have like a good cop, bad cop here, where one cop is like telling him like, "Calm down, call a lawyer," and the other one's like, "Come in here and I'll beat you." But we find out that Kimberly has a restraining order against DDP. It was real rough acting, Logan. Yeah, it was bad.
And it's like DDP's house, so like he can be in his own house. Like you can't. I don't know.
Yeah. But it did make me laugh when the good cop was like, "Hey, my kids are big fans," and that made me chuckle. And then we go backstage, and Mike Awesome's with Kimberly, and he's asking for hints on how to take out DDP. And Kimberly goes, "You are sweating on me. Can you please get away from me?" And then she complains about not getting pyro. And then Chuck runs up and he tells Kimberly that he lost Liz. And she said, "How is this my problem?" And Chuck suggests that Kimberly call out Liz from what happened on Thunder so she can get TV time. And they can then kidnap her again. Kimberly says that's a good idea and tells Mike Awesome to come with her. We see the video of Liz and Kimberly from last week from Thunder, where Liz beat Kimberly with the bat and then drug her out to DDP so she can be spanked. Then Kimberly comes out, music hits, out comes her, Chuck Palumbo, and Mike Awesome. Kimberly gets on the mic and says all the drama and injustice is out of my life, and it didn't leave her worse than where. There's a slut chant that's directed at Kimberly. Kimberly says that Miss Liz have gotten on her last nerve. She calls out Miss Elizabeth. Miss Elizabeth comes out by herself. She gets in the ring like a dumbass because Chuck and Mike Awesome are right there, and says everyone is sick of you and your friends too. And she asks Kimberly what she wants. Kimberly says what I'm going to do, and then she tells Chuck and Mike to grab her. They grab her, and Kimberly grabs her by the hair and says, "Listen, how dare you take a bat to me last week?" Ask her who she thinks she is. She says, "You could have imagined what if you hurt my face." The crowd boos her. And Kimberly tells Liz that they are booing her, which made me chuckle. Kimberly says she's going to show her who's in charge. DDP's music hits, and he comes out. He beats down Chuck and Mike, hits a diamond cutter on Awesome. Eric Lynn comes out and gets on the mic and says, "DDP puke." Says, "You violated their restraining order," and has him arrested. Bischoff says, "You're going to jail, trailer trash." I don't know why they like calling DDP trailer trash so much, but like the way they say it makes me laugh. So the cops arrest DDP, but before they can leave, Palumbo beats down the cops and hits DDP with the Lex Flexor. And then, Logan, this really made me sad. Lex runs out, and there's no pop. None. He has a face mask like he's Rip Hamilton, and he beats down Chuck Palumbo. Lex and Liz leave, and it's like, then Mike Awesome gets up and starts kicking DDP, who's still handcuffed. But then Karl Malone gets in the ring and hits the diamond cutter on Awesome, which is a nice callback because, as we talked about, this is from Bash in the Beach 98, where Karl Malone and DDP teamed up. Karl and DDP celebrate. So a lot happened there, Logan. A lot happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and like you said, poor Lex. Nobody gives a shit about him being a face. Nobody wants to cheer. Poor Lex Luger. But yeah, the home stuff with DDP was ridiculous and stupid, and I hate it. It was awful. The cops are bad actors. Kim was a bad actor. DDP was about the only thing keeping it together, and he can only do so much. But yeah, this segment kind of dragged a little bit for sure. I mean, like you said, we're not too into Kim as a character right now, so her having an extended like promo segment is probably not a great idea. But yeah, they lay a pretty good beating on DDP. Obviously, Lex comes to save and beats down Palumbo, who's kind of been his nemesis lately. And then yeah, it's cool to see Karl Malone hop in there as well and hit the diamond cutter. Poor Mike Awesome just taking it from all ends tonight. He's getting his ass beat. Everybody is getting some in on Awesome. So as much as he was early on kind of one of the new blood guys that was getting booked pretty well, he's starting to fall back to the median on the bloods.
We're starting to see it, Logan. We're starting to see it, buddy. 3 ass whoopings tonight.
That 70s guy coming soon.
Then it's the fat chick thriller, and then that Canadian guy. It's rough. But we'll go through it all. We'll go through it all, guys. Begrudgingly. And then we cut to backstage, and we see Scott and his freaks walking. And then commercial break, and we come back, and we see a video for the Vampiro versus Sting in the Human Torch match. Pamela tries to stop Rick, and then Rick says Jeff will get the title match, which we already knew about. But he says Russo and David Flair belong to him. Scott Steiner's music hits, and out comes Scott. He gets on the mic and says every week he comes out with his 2 favorite freaks and says he's a genetic freak in heat. And he says he's going to give something special for all the ladies in SLC. Says ladies got to put their ass out, and daddy will make you pass out. Says this goes all to my freaks. Big Papa Pump is your hookup. Holler if you hear me. Just give the man all the titles, Logan. This is what Seth Rollins meant. That's what Seth Rollins meant when Braun Breaker was number 2 in his family, because Scott Steiner's number 1.
Yeah, that was a pretty good line by Rollins last night. But yeah, just give Steiner any and everything he would like.
Yeah. He then says, Tank Abbott at Great American Bash, I'm going to kick your ass. Then he says, Russo, you New York son of a bitch, tell the franchise to get his ass out here. And then Shane Douglas comes out like someone who's about to get murdered. So this leads us to match 5, which is Scott Steiner versus Shane Douglas in an Asylum match for the U.S. title. When Shane gets in the ring, Scott starts beating him down as the Asylum cage comes down. Scott hits a military press on Shane. Shane gets up and kicks Scott in the nuts and does a front suplex and does like a neck grip on Scott, which they talk about how Scott had neck issues. That's why he was out at the start of the year. Shane kicks Scott. Shane picks up Scott, but Scott punches him in the guts. And then Scott throws Shane into the fence. But when like Irish whips him into the fence, but like Shane bounces off the fence like it's a rope and it hits a neck breaker on Scott and he starts kicking him. Shane has a loaded fist and he hits Scott with it, but then for some reason puts it back in his tights like a dumbass. Shane picks up Scott and then clotheslines him twice. He goes for a third, but Scott catches him and slams him into the cage, then hits a backbreaker. Scott throws Shane into the fence, then hit his nice belly to belly that me and you both love. Scott puts Shane in the Steiner recliner and Shane taps, and Scott celebrates. So, yeah, Logan, this was nothing match. Shane being fed to the wolves. I mean, it's over the Asylum because he did tap out. So.
Yeah. I do feel like Shane randomly controlled a lot of this match for some reason. Obviously Steiner does get the big spots in there at the end, but Douglas does kind of control it for the most part. But yeah, I mean, this gimmick can only go so far. It's so small, like you almost fear for anyone's life when they throw a suplex because you can only throw them from one side or the other, and it's not that far from one side to the other. So you pretty much have to get up against one side of the cage to chuck them the other way without throwing them against the other cage wall. So this is a gimmick that could go away tomorrow, and I wouldn't be sad about it. But this is going to be Scott Steiner's specialty, I guess, and seemingly, I guess he's won both so far. So I guess that's good. But yeah, not much.
I really wonder if we're going to see this past.
I can't imagine so. I can't imagine so.
Yeah. Yeah,
I want to say maybe one of Steiner's world title matches once he becomes world champion. Spoiler alert.
Spoilers
is in an Asylum match at some point. I want to say maybe not, but that triggers something in my brain for some reason.
Interesting. Very interesting.
They may like retool it or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they may like retool the cage or something like that, and it may be a little different, but yeah.
Yeah. So we see Sting walking backstage, and then we see Hogan watching Sting, and says, "Do your thing, brother." So Hoganception. We get a commercial break. We get back, and we see a video for Great American Bash. They're hyping up the matches. World title's not even mentioned. Kidman and Tori come out. Tori's looking real amazing. Kidman has a red and yellow Hulk Hogan shirt. He rips off the Hogan shirt. Sting comes out. So it's match 6, Billy Kidman versus Sting. The bell rings and they circle each other. We get a collar and elbow tie-up. Sting forces Kidman in the turnbuckle, and then he sends him chest first to the other turnbuckle, which is pretty nice. Sting tried a back suplex, but Kidman reverses out, and then he hits sliced bread number 2 on Sting. Kidman tries to hip toss Sting, but Sting reverses it and hip tosses Kidman on the entrance ramp. Sting stalks Kidman on the entrance ramp, but he just beats on him and throws him back in the ring. Then he runs, he takes off running from the end of the ramp and then jumps over and clotheslines Kidman, who was in the ring. And this takes out both of them. Kidman's up first and he hits a DDT and he goes up top and misses a splash. Sting sends Kidman to the corner and hits a stinger splash of his own. Sting puts Kidman in the Scorpion Deathlock. Tori gets on the apron and distracts the ref. Vampiro comes down and hits Sting with the blowtorch. I really thought they were going to do a fireball spot here, Logan, which would have been better. But Kidman crawls on top of Sting and he wins. After the match, Kidman and Vampiro beat down Sting. Hogan, who has changed into red and yellow, comes down and saves Sting. He beats down Kidman and Vampiro. Then Eric Bischoff comes down and hits Hogan with a chair. He no-sells it. Hogan kicks Eric, and he picks up the chair, and he's waiting for Cat, and the Cat slides in and he kicks the chair into Hogan's face. Then Horace is down as well, and Horace, Vampiro, Cat, and Kidman all beat down Sting and Vampiro. They rip off the Hulkamania, which is one of the red Hulkamania shirt, and Vampiro brings a trash can in the ring, and they light it on fire in the trash can, and the shirt's on fire. And then we see Vampiro dragging Sting towards the trash can, and then Kronik's music hits, and Kronik comes out, and they make the save. They beat down Horace and everyone else. And Kronik now has shirts that says Kronik 419, Logan. Who the fuck's... No one bought those shirts. No one.
No, even
and this
the
was
biggest,
just another rush. Yeah.
even the biggest Atom Bomb and Crush fans. No go. Definitely not.
Yeah. Tim Slomka does not have a Kronik 419 shirt.
And he's the biggest Atom Bomb fan I know.
Yeah. So there you go. Just a real nothing match. We had some spurts of nice athleticism, but they didn't give him enough time to let him cook. And then everyone just beats down the baby faces at the end. Kronik showing up again that they are part of the Millionaires Club, just in case you had forgotten, because Loki had forgotten. So they pushed him away, which they went for holding the tag titles forever when they weren't even tag champions and showing up. And now they haven't defended them at all, Logan.
Yeah, the tag division is non-existent, of course. I mean, we knew that coming out of when they gave Douglas and Bagwell the tag team championships in the first place. You know, the finals of the tournament at Spring Stampede or whatever it was. Was them two versus Flair and Luger. So no tag division whatsoever. I mean, you could do something with the Filthy Animals, a couple of them, and maybe a couple of members of MIA could go for the tag title or something like that. But they have no interest in defending the tag titles at any point. Which I'm sure they'll have a pay-per-view match that comes out of nowhere, but we'll get to that when we get to that. If every match could just start with a leaping over the top rope from the ramp spot, I would love that, because we get another one here. I thought that was awesome from Sting to kind of start things out. I love Kidman's new finisher of crawling into the pin after somebody else beats somebody up. So great new finisher that Kidman's come up with, because that's about the only offense he ever gets in any of his matches. If he wins. But yeah, Bischoff does a pretty weak chair shot to Hogan after the match. Hogan obviously no sells. And I
it's a horrible chair shot.
Yeah. And the cat super kicking the chair into Hogan's face. I thought that was pretty cool. The old feliner and all that.
Yeah.
And then Kronik, they're just ass kickers. I do enjoy watching them beat people up, but they need a team to kind of go against at some point. And it doesn't seem like that. It seems like they're just going to keep beating people up. It's not really going to lead to anything. But they seem to kind of be pairing Stasiak and Palumbo together, so maybe that'll be something. But we'll see.
Yeah, I thought it was later, but it looks like it might be now. So we'll have to see what happens. So we're on our way to the main event, guys. Of course, we have the famous Russo, where we see Flair walking, then we see Jeff Jarrett walking. We get a commercial break, and then we get a David Flair and Ric Flair promo package. Then Jeff Jarrett comes out with David Flair, and David Flair has a ref shirt on. Flair's out next. David tells Rick he's the ref. Match 7, main event tonight, Jeff Jarrett versus Ric Flair for the WCW World title, with David as special ref. Rick goes after David, but Jeff attacks him. But then Rick's able to turn the tide, and he chops Jeff around the ring, then sends Jeff to the corner and hits him with an elbow. Rick goes after David again, but Jeff hits Rick in the throat and then punches Rick. He does those beautiful punches that me and you both love. Rick reverses, and he starts peppering Jeff with his own punches. Then we go to the entrance ramp, and Russo and R&B Security have came out with Beth and Reed. Rick sees this, and he attacks Vince on the entrance ramp. This allows Jeff to take advantage, and he beats Rick around the ring. He hits Rick with the chair. Flair's down, and Jeff's just walloping with the chair and choking him with it. Tony says, "This is the right for a father," and Madden says, "Yeah, Russo's son is the ref," which was great. It was awesome. Jeff throws Rick in the ring and hits him with knee drops. Jeff's choking Rick on the ropes in front of Reed and Beth. Flair is actually bleeding, and he bleeding gusher. Looks really good after this. And he's actually not wearing slacks tonight, Logan. He had been wearing slacks and everything, but he had full robe and his trunks on tonight, which was nice.
Great.
Yeah, it was a great look, especially with the blood. It looked amazing. And then Rick starts chopping Jeff and takes him down. Rick chops Jeff in the corner, then hits a snapmare and he punches him. David Flair leaves the ring and he tries to hit Flair with the Statue of Liberty, but Rick takes it from him and hits him with the Statue of Liberty, so he's knocked out. But this allows Jeff to throw Rick into the turnbuckle, and he does the Flair flop. Flair is outside of the ring, and Russo is talking trash to him. Russo hits Flair with the bat and then throws him back in the ring. Jeff puts the figure 4 on the ref, on Rick, but there's no ref. Another ref comes down, and it's Charles Robinson, and Rick looks like he's about to be counted 3 with the figure 4, but he gets his arms up. Rick reverses the figure 4, and then Russo's on the ring apron talking shit to Rick while he had reversed the figure 4, and Rick punches him and punches Russo, which I thought was nice. Jeff's able to get to send Rick into the ropes, and Rick gets inside cradle and got 2. I thought that's how he was going to win again, Logan. That's how he won the title the first time against Jeff, which was a nice callback. Jeff goes after the ref, and this allows, and then punches Rick again and pushes him into a corner, and he gets 8 punches in the corner. But Flair hits an atomic drop and then a punch in the dick. Rick blocks punches from Jeff, and he returns with his own volley of punches. And then he chops again and punches Jeff in the corner. Jeff reverses an Irish whip and sends Flair into the corner, but he does the Flair drop over the rope. He ducks a clothesline, and then he actually hits the axe handle from the top. Me and Mark Madden are so excited because he's one for 13,638 with this move, which I thought was nice. Russo jumps up on the apron, and Rick punches him. Rick struts around because while Jeff is down, he tried the figure 4, but when he went to turn the figure 4, Jeff kicked Rick into Charles Robinson. R&B security then tried to attack Flair, but he takes them all down. Flair continues beating down Jeff. Russo strips off the Charles Robinson's ref shirt and he puts it on. Russo gets in the ring, and Ric Flair takes him down. He puts the figure 4 on Russo, but Jeff is handed a guitar by David Flair. Jeff hits Rick hits Rick with the guitar, and he wins the world title. And the show ends with Jeff, David, and Russo celebrating. Not too happy about this, Logan. It was a fun match. They gave it 10 minutes, which is an eternity for Russo. But not happy with the world title changing fucking twice tonight. And it's back to Jeff Jarrett, which is where all this started. Just had him not lose. Just have him not lose. Like, what are we doing? Jeff Jarrett has like 3 world title reigns, and they're combined like 18 and a half days.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's like the same thing with like, if you look at Nash's like total reign or total number of days reigning as world champion, it's terrible, and he has like 4 or 5 reigns or whatever. Savage is the same way. If you look at him,
I think
he has like 3 world title wins, and therefore like a combined like, I think the first one was like 40 something days, but the next 2 are like 2.
Yeah, because they're 1 day apiece. Because he beat Stampede, and he lost the next day to Hogan. Then he beat Nash at Bash at the Beach and lost the next day to Hogan.
Yeah. So like, that's not strange for them. Obviously, I think this one sticks if I remember correctly. So we'll see how long he ends up holding it this time. But yeah, it's not instilling confidence that this is going to be your guy. Even if he's supposed to be a heel, I mean, obviously he's so very easily could lose on a regular basis, even to an actor of all people, which I know he wasn't the champion going into that match, but still Jarrett was on the losing side of the match. But yeah, I probably took a record number of notes for this match because it actually lasted long enough for me to actually take multiple notes. So there is that. My first note is, oh, look, a Jeff Jarrett match with a walking brawl on the outside of the ring. Who could have seen that coming?
You ruined it for me because that's all I think about now.
I love that Flair got color like super early in this match. And obviously, he obviously has the white hair, and it, kind of flows into it. And it looks like freaking popcorn with like strawberry sauce on it or something, or not popcorn, cotton candy. His hair looks like cotton candy to me for some reason. I'm glad the Statue of Liberty thing kind of flipped around on David this time. He actually gets smacked with it instead of Rick for the 1,000th time. But yeah, I did like the callback to the roll up that you talked about, because that's how he beat Jarrett the first time, kind of like you mentioned. He does pull off the rare feat of hitting the top rope axe handle, like you mentioned as well. He's only allowed to do that as a face because he never does it as a heel, I don't think. So I know when he finally turns face in WWE after Evolution ends and all that, I know he hits it on like Carlito or something like that. But those are the only this and that are the only two times I could remember him actually hitting it. But yeah, then Russo gets super involved, kind of like you were talking about. Russo ends up in the ref shirt, ends up counting the final pinfall, and like you said, we kind of ended back up where we started in this whole scenario with Jarrett as the world champion. So, like I said, I think this one sticks for a little bit, so we won't have the flip flop with the world championship of all things anymore. But yeah, it's been kind of obnoxious lately with all the changes.
It frustrates me to no end, Logan. To no end. I don't deserve this.
No one did, but yet some people still watch for some reason.
Yeah. But yeah, so that
we're just watching it now to go through the pains for the listeners' enjoyment, of course.
Yeah, I wonder if 11-year-old Scott would have loved this. Probably not. But I wasn't watching much WCW at this time, which is weird because I was into it the previous 2 years. But yeah, just here and there during right now in the summer of 2000, which I'll talk about as we hit these certain shows. So the champs coming out of here are world title Jeff Jarrett, U.S. title Scott Steiner, tag champions Kronik, cruiserweight champion Daphne because they forgot about her, and the hardcore champion is Terry Funk. For most absurd, I have another world title change ×2 and wasting Goldberg's return.
Yeah, having three world champions on the same show is pretty absurd, obviously.
Yeah. And then I said what was good was the pace of the show. The show flew by. It was an easy watch.
Yeah, this is a quick watch for sure.
Which is
I would
good.
have to agree with that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What was bad? I'm just going to say wasted Goldberg return.
Yeah, just the timing of that. I mean, all things considered, this wasn't just the worst show, I would say.
No, it was an enjoyable show.
Yeah, I mean,
like the world title shit pisses me off, but I think we've come to expect it. Sadly,
I guess maybe an Awesome's D push at this point. You could put in things that aren't good because I mean, obviously, we want him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, considering he was the ECW champion when he jumped 8 weeks ago.
And he was pushed well early,
dumb.
But it just hadn't been sustained.
The wheels are starting to come off.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting a little wobbly. So we had 7 matches tonight, Logan. 1 clean finish, which was the Asylum match, surprisingly. 6 non-clean or non-finishes. 0 pole matches tonight. That we were lied to about that. We had 6 gimmick matches tonight. We're up to 149 now. 1 guitar shot tonight. We're up to 43. 48 different things happened tonight, which is a 2-hour Thunder record, guys. 2-hour Thunder record. We are now up to 56 total title changes, as we had 2 title changes tonight. Both of them were the world titles. It's usually very cut and dry if we're smarter than Vince Russo's WCW, but I think we're going to edge it out just barely. If they wouldn't have had the 2 world title changes, Logan, we might have been defeated tonight.
Yeah, that's true. And we talked about the tag titles not really changing or being defended all that often. Steiner really hasn't defended the U.S. championship all that much.
He defended it tonight against Shane. That was the only time.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like before tonight, like I kind of almost forgot he was U.S. champion. That's how unoften and like downgraded it's kind of been since he won it, honestly. So I mean, he's been involved in top storylines and stuff like that, but they don't like make a big deal about him being the U.S. champ until tonight, obviously, like we talked about. But the only belt that really gets any playtime seemingly is the world title, which isn't the worst thing, but you need to pay attention to your other divisions as well.
Yeah, like what are we doing?
I guess the cruiserweight gets the second biggest push. I mean, it's been,
but that's disappeared. There was no mention of Daphne
good.
tonight because they pivoted with this Flair and Miss Hancock thing. We'll have to see where this goes on Thunder. But yeah, that brings it into another episode of Are You Smarter Than Vince Russo's WCW? For Scott Shiflett, he's Logan Crossland. Stay positive out there, guys.
Peace.